In this week's episode, we're going to dig deep into what it takes to manage client expectations during a construction project. With a lot of my client base, I find complaints all the time about misalignment with expectations with clients confused and frustrated about what's going on, and a lot of it comes back to the fact that we as contractors need to be managing those expectations. It's really up to us to set the stage and to keep the clients on the same page as we are. In this episode, we're going to discuss the importance of understanding the client's perspective on expectations, the importance of setting realistic expectations, how important communication is, and then we'll jump into how to deal with delays and to make sure that you're documenting everything and keeping it in writing. Let's jump into it. It's important to get your clients involved from the onset and set the stage about what they're expecting from you as a contractor. Have they worked with contractors before? There's all these little things that you can be asking and digging into to understand what the client's expectations are from the relationship that you're creating with them. Contracting work with people is definitely about managing that relationship, and getting their input on what they expect is a key part of that process. Maybe they've worked with other contractors, maybe they've not, but there might be a gap in what they think they're getting versus what you think you're offering. Give them an opportunity early on to communicate their needs so that you understand what they're looking for in the project, what they're looking for in the budget and cost, and all these little details that they can set the stage for what they're expecting by you asking the right questions and taking the time to listen to them and what they're actually after. After you understand their perspective on expectations, it's time for you to set some realistic expectations. This is a key part of our process here at my construction company. It's almost like that rip the Band-Aid off moment, but you got to jump right in and talk to them about realistic timelines. What's cost running for the project? I get calls all the time with people asking me what the square foot price is on new construction in my area. And really, there's so many variables that go into that, it's hard to say, but based on the projects we're doing, which I'll describe to them, I let them know. Here's kind of my price range in that for us, 1,600 to 2,000 square foot house with a 2-car garage, nice, built pretty well, definitely above builder's grade, is in that 225 to 275 a square foot range. Conversations like this that are difficult to talk about early on with clients sets the stage for setting those expectations. It's also important to set real expectations with timelines. It's so easy as contractors, we're all guilty of it, I'm guilty of it, to really overpromise and then underdeliver on the project because you honestly didn't know. You believed you could get the project done in a certain time frame, and really that time frame was probably always unrealistic. You just didn't have any basis for making that call and that decision. It's always better to err on the side of caution with timelines and give yourself some wiggle room just in case there's material delays or other setbacks that are inevitably going to happen. Let's talk about how important communicating with your clients is in the process. Getting a construction project going and under contract is really, especially in the new build world, like a short-term marriage. We're going to be partners for a while for the duration of the project, and I got to make sure we communicate in ways that we both like. For us, we use Buildertrend, and in there, I can do daily logs or I post weekly for my clients so that they can see photos and get an update about what's been going on and what's coming up next in the process. It's so important that as you go along, that you keep your clients constantly updated about what's coming next in your process, what's coming next week, next month, what's it look like. Most clients have no clue about the construction process. And by you communicating what's coming next, they stay in the loop. They're not going to harass you as much. They're not going to ask as many questions. There's definitely not going to be complaints because they're going to know at all times what's going on in the process. And if you communicate like this, it's going to make dealing with delays and changes so much easier. Delays and changes are an inevitable part of the construction business. There's a lot of things really outside of our locus of control. We can't control the weather, material delays. We can't control if COVID strikes again or any of these things. And so it's important to handle these in a very efficient and timely manner. And it's really based on how you set the standard for communicating. Once something pops up, immediately let all parties know that are involved and have a system that even updates all your subcontractors so that they know that the project schedule is starting to shift. By using a good project management software that includes a scheduling feature and staying on top of communicating with all parties involved, you're going to really make it easy to weather delays and setbacks that are coming to your business. It's going to happen. It happens to all of our large projects. There's always something that pops up. We get a random string of snowstorms or something like that that creates delays. So you have to be ready. And the best part is you just have to communicate. Mostly, if you communicate with all parties involved, you'll be able to get back on track and have very little headache. You're not going to get a lot of pushback as long as you're communicating and no one feels blindsided by these setbacks and delays. And last but not least, one of the most important steps in setting client expectations is to document everything. You've got to document the contract. It's got to be thorough, extensive scopes of work, change orders, all these things along the way. Especially the longer your projects go, the more important this clear documentation comes so that becomes your basis for expectation and delivery of the project. Having very clear contracts, scope of works, material lists, and things like that are signed off on by the clients really sets the stage for you to hold your ground when they question something, a material you install, but then you can go back and say, hey, look, we documented right here that you picked out this paint finish or this tile choice. So it's super important in the process that you document all these things. And then when a delay happens or change pops up, you get that dreaded change order, document. Get all these things in writing, get it signed by the owner, and then as they forget things or things in their mind, maybe the perception changes just a little bit, or maybe your perception changes a little bit, you can go back and refer to all the documentation you've built for your project to know what the expectations that you agreed to meet are. So I just gave you guys 5 tips for managing client expectations during a construction project. It's so important that you really dial in that client experience and expectation gap so that you and your clients can stay on the same page throughout your projects. If you start implementing a lot of these things, I can promise you that your jobs are going to run so much smoother. When everybody's communicated with and they feel like you care, things just seem to operate at a much better pace. You can take these concepts for setting client expectations and apply it to your subcontractors and your employees as well. If you got value out of this video, be sure to subscribe to my channel because we're going to be coming at you every week with more contractor tips so that we can help you run a more successful construction business. Be sure to check the video description below for links on how to get my free overhead sheets, join my email list, and get in contact with me on other social media platforms. I'd love to hear from you on ways that you manage your client expectations in your construction projects in the comments below. Talk soon.